In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we set up our Performance Max campaign for clients, scaling them to over 6 figures per month and helping our clients add thousands in new customer revenue every single day. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So just to remind ourselves, Performance Max is the all-in-one campaign type from Google Ads. So Google says drive sales by reaching the right people wherever they're browsing, with ads on Google Search, YouTube Display, and more. So we can see Google Search here. Here's an example of a Nike search campaign. Here's an example of some Google shopping campaigns, again from Nike. We have their display ad here, some demand gen showing up inside in Gmail and the Discover page, and then also video, which is going to show up on YouTube also. So now that we know that PMax basically encompasses every possible campaign type within Google Ads, it sounds like it's going to be pretty confusing to set up, right? But we're going to walk you through every step of the way. So let's jump in. So we are going to start with the basic setup. So we're going to go into ads.google.com, go to our campaigns, click on this blue plus button, and it will bring up new campaign. So let's click on new campaign there, and we will go through to our basic setup. Obviously, if we're an e-commerce business, our focus here is sales. The conversion action we want to optimize for is purchases. We're going to choose Performance Max as our campaign type, and we are going to add products to this campaign. We're going to select our Merchant Center account. By now, you should already have that linked to your Google Ads account, and that will then link in your products so that you can start serving them within Performance Max. Then we're going to move on to bidding. If we're an e-commerce business, we are going to be focused on conversion value because we're going to have different orders of different order values. So we want to focus on getting as much revenue as possible from this campaign. And generally for new Performance Max campaigns, we do not set a target return on ad spend. Instead, we give the algorithm some chance to breathe, at least in the first 2 to 4 weeks. We'll run it on maximize conversions before we set a target ROAS. Depending on your setup, whether you've done this correctly or not, and I will be discussing this in another video about customer acquisition and new customer acquisition within Google Ads. Most people are going to leave this blank for now. However, I do recommend excluding branded traffic from your PMax campaigns. You're just going to click next here, and it's going to bring you to some further campaign settings. You're going to pick your location as the United States if you want to advertise in the United States. And again, you're going to pick your language. What's really important then is your brand exclusion. So you can create a brand list. So this is going to be your brand name. So making sure that you have all variations of your brand name included here, all misspellings, everything like that. You can either add them as a negative keyword list retrospectively once you set up the campaign, or you can add it as a brand list, or you can have it as both if you want to really protect against serving on your brand name. Because remember, we always have dedicated branded search and branded shopping campaigns that we want to be serving for instead. Skip the new asset generation where we let Google AI help us generate assets. For now, we are going to click skip and we are going to provide the assets ourselves. So moving on to asset group, we're going to name our asset group appropriately. If we're targeting all products, if we're targeting a certain product group or product category, whatever it is we're targeting, we're going to name our asset group so we know what's going on within the asset group itself. Most of the time, I'm not going to pick all products, but for simplicity's sake, in this example, I will. Generally, I segment according to product theme because it's easier to centralize all your ad copy, your landing pages, your products, your creatives together, make more coherent sense of a single theme than it is to bundle everything in together and let Google decide what goes with what. It doesn't generally work that well. Brand guidelines is next. Give it our business name, our business logos. We're also going to give it things like our primary and secondary color. That just helps with some outlines on particular ads and things like that. From there, we are going to set up our assets. We're going to be asked to provide our final URL where our ads will go, then up to 15 headlines. Each of these are no longer than 30 characters. Generally, I say 6 to 7 headlines is fine. You can test more if you'd like, but don't feel obliged to get to 15. A lot of people will see this ad strength, particularly if it's at poor or average, and feel obliged to, get all these to max out. I don't know why really Google pushes it so much. It's obviously, it gives them more chance to test loads of different headlines and spend more money. But for the most part, I feel that 6 or 7 headlines is more than adequate, and you can actually get quicker feedback loops in terms of what is working best by having slightly less than maximizing out. Long headlines are next. So you can give up to 5 of these. They're 90 characters in length. And don't worry, they're never going to be served alongside your headlines. So don't worry if there is some repetition there. Descriptions, you can have up to 5 of these. Again, these are 90 characters in length. Generally, I'm going to go for 3 or 4 of these. Once again, going to add some images, any videos we have, any site links then. So we might have some site links. that are specific to this asset group, or we might have some account-wide site links, and then some other ad extensions. You've got things like promotion, prices, call-outs, structured snippets, and whatnot. So now that you have done all of your campaign settings, you've provided all your assets, you are going to give Google some form of a signal. So you can leave this entirely blank. There is no obligation to fill this out, but there are some recommendations we would have on our side. If you are trying to push search as part of Performance Max very aggressively, then we would recommend adding some search themes of proven converting keywords or search terms from your ad account. However, if you're not looking to be as aggressive with search in Performance Max, if you want to focus instead within your responsive search ads or your other DSAs, well then don't add search themes, because these can help to cannibalize other campaign traffic in your account. And then with audience signals, we generally will add our first party data, so either our all-time customer list or an MVP customer list, or maybe last 12 months customers, just to give the algorithm some indication of who our existing customers are. We have seen poor performance when we add search themes throughout, and this correlates with a lot of data in the space over the last 12 months. Also, mixed feedback when it comes to adding audience signals, but at least anecdotally on our part, we see quicker learning phases when we do add first party lists than when we leave it blank or add any other lists like custom segments or in-market audiences and things like that. The next thing up is budget. So we're going to give it an average daily budget. At very minimum, my recommendation would be to have 3 times your average CPA in the account. So your non-branded average CPA, at least 3 times that as your daily budget. So if your average CPA is $40, well then your PMax can start at no less really than $120 in daily budget. Our recommendation is if you have less than $100 in daily budget to give to PMax, you're probably not best off starting with it. You're better off focusing on other individual network campaigns, so shopping campaigns and search campaigns, rather than funneling everything into a Performance Max campaign. So set your daily budget, click next, and then your campaign is ready to publish. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about all things optimizing Performance Max, what you should be doing on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis to get the most out of your Performance Max campaigns and actually add the most net profit to your business. So hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you at the next one. In the last video, I showed you exactly how to set up Performance Max campaigns to succeed. But even after you set something up, that's only the start. You need to know exactly how to optimize your Performance Max campaigns every day, every week, every month to set your campaigns up for ultimate success. And in doing so, you're going to get so much more out of Google Ads and actually grow your business meaningfully using the platform. So without further ado, let me jump right into the exact optimization framework we use for our Performance Max campaigns for our clients. So when it comes to optimizing Performance Max campaigns, you need to remember that PMax needs time. So this applies to all campaigns in Google Ads, but it really does apply to Performance Max. It's very heavy on machine learning, so it does require a long learning phase. Sometimes it can be anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. So because of that, we need to treat it appropriately and follow steps to make sure that we're optimizing that learning phase and not prolonging it. So when it comes to bid strategy, this is a really important thing to focus on. So we will generally start with maximize conversion value. Once we get up to 50 conversions per month in a single campaign, we're then going to transition to target ROAS bidding. But we're going to set our target ROAS either at or slightly below even our actual ROAS, meaning that we give the algorithm some room to breathe. We don't set a really high target ROAS and then find that we're stifling the algorithm and it cannot spend and it ends up spinning its wheels and we find that we're back where we started. That's the last thing we want to do. So we set it up on a very cautious T ROAS at or just below where it's been operating, and then we gently move it up as we see greater efficiency in the account, or we can keep it where it is and scale through spend. Ultimately, it depends on what our goals are. Now, a relatively new thing in Performance Max are negative keywords and brand exclusions. So we want to make sure that we are adding negative keywords to our Performance Max campaign. So what we're going to do is we're going to review our search term reports like we would with any shopping campaigns or any search campaigns. We're going to look for any irrelevant terms. We're going to add them as negative keywords. Remember that we are serving across all different placements now. So the potential for us to be serving on queries that maybe are not quite optimal for our brand is probably that bit higher. So look for irrelevant terms, particularly in new accounts or new campaigns, every 48 to 72 hours, and keep adding them back in as negative keywords. And the next thing I'm going to recommend is ensure that brand exclusions are set up. So you can either exclude competitor brands, or more importantly, in my opinion, you should be excluding your own brand, because you should have dedicated branded search and branded shopping campaigns that are going to target your branded traffic And then all your other campaigns should not be focused on branded terms. They should be exclusively focused on non-branded traffic. And that level of segmentation, or that clear delineation between brand and non-brand, makes it much easier to see what true performance looks like across your campaigns, making it easier for you to make data-driven decisions, scale campaigns on the basis of solid, good, honest data, and not murky the waters in between. So when it comes to monitoring performance, there are a couple of different ways you can do this. So performance metrics, we have our new PMax channel reporting, still getting rolled out in all of our campaigns. It's now in about 70% of campaigns for us, where you can see what different networks or channels are performing at what level in terms of impressions, interactions, and results being maybe purchases and purchase conversion value. So you can get an indication of what level of spend is going through each of these channels and what are the key driving channels for you within Performance Max, because up until now it was very much a black box if you were inside in the ad account. And that leads me on to my next point. We would always have used Mike Rhodes' script, and this script basically runs every single day, and we can see what our shopping cost, what our video campaign cost, our other costs inside in Performance Max. We can see this on an asset group level, so we can see asset group cost value, what our top products are, and things like that. So we could get a better sense not only of performance at an asset group level, but also at a channel level. Is it search or is it shopping that's driving a lot of this new customer revenue for us? And if so, then we can make decisions based on what we're seeing. So credit to Mike Rhodes for this script. It's been very useful for us as an agency. We've used it extensively. We will still use it. It does give far greater insights than channel performance does, but it is very nice to have something in platforms to take a look at also. The next thing you're going to want to do is also review your insights. There's a few different things you can do here. You can review search terms and search categories. So up until now, we were only able to see search categories. So what general categories were we serving on? And in terms of revenue, then what did that look like? Whereas now we can actually see full-blown search term performance, which is fantastic. The other thing then is looking at audience segments. So we can look at demos, so in-market segments, detailed demographics, and we can get a bit of a sense of what percentage of clicks are coming through each of these segments. This helps with us building custom segments for either this campaign or other campaign, so we can guide the algorithm in a direction we know is already generating a lot of interest. And you can see the relative index of each audience then compared to baseline. So we're seeing 5 times more clicks from people ages 65 compared to the mean, and the same applies then for the other demos and other in-market audiences that we're seeing here as well. The last thing that we can review is our asset performance. So things like headlines, descriptions, we can actually see what level of conversions is coming through each. We can see which ones are best in terms of Google's representation of what's deemed best, poor, learning, average, things like that. So if we see assets that are persistently low performers, we remove them and we change them and we test new angles. And that's what you should be doing really frequently inside in Performance Max. Because the misconception here is that Performance Max is a set and forget campaign type. That is not the case. It is very easy to set and forget it, but you are going to see results really take a nosedive if that is your approach. If that's your approach to any campaign, you're not going to be successful. But particularly if that is your approach to Performance Max, you are really going to struggle over the medium and long term. And then I'm going to show you our 2 most common structures that we follow. So structure 1 is where we are running a lot of shopping and a lot of manual search campaigns, but we want to layer in 1 additional Performance Max campaign. In this instance, for the most part, we are just going to consolidate to 1 Performance Max. We're going to separate our asset groups according to theme in the same way that we would if it was a search campaign. So we're going to have maybe 1 asset group that's going to be our bestseller. We're going to have another asset group which is going to have a different category. Our third asset group is going to be another product category, and so on and so forth. Now, if we get to a point that we want to actually expand here, or we feel that one of these is not getting adequate budget, so let's say our bestsellers is not getting adequate budget, so what we're going to do is we're going to take that out entirely, and we're going to have maybe 1 Performance Max campaign where we're focusing more on efficiency with some of our adjunctive products, so in categories 2, 3, and 4 for this business. And then our PMax 2 campaign is going to be our scaling campaign. We're going to go for a much more aggressive target here, focusing on known bestsellers, top converters, and really try to push this to actually grow our ad account and add some top line revenue to the business. This is the approach we're going to take most often. We try to consolidate again when possible, bearing in mind that most brands that we work with are doing it in the region of 100 to 500 grand per month on Google Ads. At that level of spend or that level of returns, consolidation still reigns supreme. Once you start going above that, then there is always merit to segment out. And even at that level, there are certain cases where segmentation is better. But the way Google is going, the direction machine learning is taking, consolidation is really important. Having asset groups and campaigns that can talk to each other and feed data within each other rather than segmenting for the sake of it. So that is our optimization framework for Performance Max campaigns. Follow that and you put yourself in a really good position to scale your campaigns on Google, particularly when it comes to Performance Max. If you're an e-commerce brand owner and you're looking for someone to help you manage your Performance Max campaigns on Google, well then reach out, click the link in the description to book a free one-to-one call with me. We can discuss your current Google Ads efforts, maybe identify some areas for improvement and take it from there. I hope you found this video useful and I'll see you at the next one.